Hello YouTube. As this is the first video from my programming oriented channel, I figure we should start out in the way that most programming instructionals start, which is going to be with a short hello world type of video. At this point, there's a few different languages I want to go ahead and touch on since I'm going to be able to, or going to be trying to talk to most of them. The first one I want to touch on is the very first language that I ever learned when I was much younger, which is Perl. So I'm going to use the Vim text editor on a Fedora core system through SSH here to do Perl. We're going to do C, we're going to do C++, and we're going to do Python. And then I'm going to jump to Visual Studio, and we're going to do a C# as well, just to touch on a few differences between them. I don't want to get too specific on a lot of the mechanics of it just yet. There's a lot of in-depth stuff that we can get into, even just talking about the C++ one. So we're just going to start off simple. We're going to go with a hello.pl. We can see it's a new file here. I wonder if I can make this a little bit, there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and make my text a little bit bigger so it looks better on the recording here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is tell the file what it is, and it is a Perl application. I've seen people do it like this to do the warnings, but I was always taught to do it use warnings like that. All this is to give the interpreter an excuse to be nitpicky, and also we'll do the same with this. This will stop you from doing things that are bad practice, and also provide you with warnings if there's something that could go wrong that may never go wrong in your actual use case, but it still has an opportunity to go wrong, and you should probably code in your edge case. For what we're doing, all we're going to do is print out hello world, and because we're not, well, it's going to be hello YouTube, with a \n for a new line return. Now, print is a pretty powerful feature in Perl. It's very good for file editing, so we could get into that. That's another one of the grainy details that I'm not trying to dive into right now, but this should be more than enough to execute. So I'm going to save it, and we'll execute it like this by calling the interpreter Perl and the code file itself. And there's our hello YouTube. Next up, we're going to do C. We'll do vim hello.c. Now, in C, since it's going to be compiled, we have to tell it that we want to include the standard IO library module. And we're going to go ahead and do int main. This is the entry point for our application. And I'm so used to coding that way, I'm going to do it this way. Basically, it's an integer return main function, so I'm going to also go ahead and code in. Oh, I have a large tab space, so I'm just going to use 2 spaces. It's going to be a return 0. For this one, it's very similar to the Perl one, but it's printf as the function. And hello YouTube exclamation point. And we'll use a \n to tell it we want a new line, and close off that function. A little bit different, but the next part is going to be running the compiler. We're going to make an output file of hello_c and tell it that we are reading from the hello C source code. Now, if I look in the directory, we have a hello_c, so we will do hello_c, and there's your hello YouTube. The next one, which is going to be our C++, has a little bit more to it as we progress. We're going to need to do the same thing with the include statement, but this time we're including iostream from the standard library. And you will have the same int main function here. And what I'm going to do is call the standard namespace cout, and then we put in the hello YouTube like so. standard namespace, end line. Now you can still use the \n here to put in a new line. This is just the C++ method of doing it with IOStream. It's a little bit complicated what's going on here, so I'm not going to dive too deep into it. The important things to know is that this is how you call to something that's in the namespace. So the standard namespace is std, and then you can go : and then what you're calling from that namespace. The namespaces are just used to avoid name collision, so if I made a cout function, it wouldn't conflict because we'd be in a different namespace. Again, this is an int return, so we're going to do return 0, which is what the OS is going to expect. And that should be enough to execute. So we're going to do a g++ compile with an output of hello_cpp. Pull from the source code. And now we have that hello cpp. Ta-da. Next up, we're going to do some Visual Studio here. Let me just pull that up. I'm going to pop it over here for just a second. As you can see, I was already playing with that. We'll remove that real quick. So we're going to make a new project, an empty C# project. We're going to call it hello and create it. Here we go. Console.writeLine. Now this write line will actually include the end of line character just built in. Hello YouTube. Now something about C# and the way that I'm going to execute this, I'm going to be running it in the debugger for Visual Studio because I don't feel like doing a whole release compile and pulling it up in a command line and running it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to do a console.read key to do my own press any key to continue type of thing to keep it from closing out the window when it's done printing out the hello YouTube. So we'll just run that, and there's our hello YouTube in C#. Now, something that's interesting is you'll notice this is grayed out up here. I don't actually need all of these. I just need the system key, or the using system module. So it'll work just the same when I strip out those other unused resources. But that's pretty much it for Hello World in these different languages. Each one of them, of course, being Hello YouTube now because that's the theme we've gone for. Over here in our Fedora box, we're going to do hello.py, and this is for Python. I believe Python uses this. And then we're just going to do print hello YouTube. The cool thing is, I believe Python's interpreter, when I execute this, will add the new line character for us. Ooh. Hello.py. And there it is. So we have the hello C source file and executable, the hello CPP source file and executable. And you can see that they're a little bit different in size. That's because each one, as we pull in the required items to make it into a full instructed executable, it all compiles together and makes it larger. Whereas with the interpreted languages, all we're doing is calling the interpreter and feeding it a file that has the method that we want it to run through. As at the time of recording this, as you can see, it is Pi Day still, just barely. So I hope you all have a wonderful Pi Day, and I hope that this was informative. Thank you very much for watching.